Okay, folks. We are now want to give you a little um, walkthrough of your Mod 3 memo assignment. That's the inflation assessment. Um, now, um, uh, the idea is you're going to be analyzing inflation. You're going to be using what we like to call the equation of exchange or the quantity theory approach. You have already learned about this, and if you need some review, go back. We provided some videos that kind of give you a brief walkthrough of that to kind of give you the main points behind this approach to inflation. But we're going to be going through this a little bit. We're going to be showing you how we would do such an assessment and an analysis for the United States. That'll be kind of your template, but you will be not analyzing another country. You'll be analyzing China. And the idea is that there's kind of two parts to this. First of all, there's a background or historical part. You want to know what has been happening, and this can go back quite a bit. You want to know some background and why. And then a forward-looking or a forecast, and it's more important that you give a consistent story, a story that is consistent with this approach, what we call the 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 equation of exchange approach. So I want to remind you once again. Okay, if you have if you're not all that sure about these ideas, go back and see these videos and just make sure that you get these concepts down. But we already told you that by definition, in any country, in any economy, the amount of money multiplied times velocity is equal to the price level times real output. Okay, this is what we call the equation of exchange. And then we transform this into a theory. The idea is that we can that we know that money is supplied by the central bank. We assumed that velocity was sort of exogenous. It was it was something that was determined by market participants. And then real output, we stressed that that was a function of the productive capabilities of a country, the production function. Go back to Mod 2 for that. So the idea is that the production function, capital, labor, and technology, that determines that. So this means that if the central bank chooses the money supply and it increases the money supply and all of this stays constant, you would get an equiproportionate change in the price level. And we can write this actually, we can think of this in terms of inflation. Inflation, which is the percentage change in the price level, is equal to percentage change money growth, that's positive, percentage change in velocity growth, that is also a positive, but all else equal, if output growth increases, real output, that means inflation, all else equal, will be lower. That is this definition. But what's now gonna seep into our analysis is the idea that actually velocity can change over time, and there are reasons why velocity will change. So let's think about some reasons why velocity may change. These are not exhaustive reasons. There may be other reasons, but I think that this is what you'll need to get you through this assignment. First of all, from a longer historical perspective, long-run economic development, as countries over time orient themselves more towards market activities, away from just sort of household activities. This is as they develop from a very low level of market orientation to a higher, to a more modern economy. That means that you're going to be involving the market more market trading, and that means you will have to rely more on money to help you do these transactions. This is what we call the medium of exchange function of money. Okay, so yes, there's a sort of a long-run economic development that might suggest that over time, as countries develop and they become more oriented towards markets, velocity will fall. Okay, at the same time, technology can also push us in the other direction. Okay, so I like to stress that because I'm an older guy. I think I'm not the only one who remembers when, in fact, just to take an example, automatic teller machines. We didn't have automatic teller machines, or we didn't have very many. And even today, if you go to an emerging market or a frontier economy, you may find it difficult to find an automatic teller machine. What does that mean? That means it's more difficult for you to shift money, let's say, out of your wealth, let's say out of, let's say, a saving, let's say a bond, or to take it out of your equity account and cash it in for money. And um, in turn, when I think back to as another kind of story, back back many years ago, when we didn't have automatic teller machines, I couldn't just run down the to a block or 2 blocks away. I had to go to a bank downtown, and I had to pull out my little passbook, and I had to say, okay, I'd like to take something out of a certain amount out of my savings account, because I will need the money to do my transactions. Well, guess what? Things have gotten easier since then. In the United States, automatic teller machines have proliferated. They're very easy to come by. There are some countries where I go to where, in fact, they aren't so frequent. But in the United States, if there's going to be an automatic teller everywhere I go, I don't have to carry so much cash in my wallet. Okay, so that means that the velocity will actually go up. I can use each piece of money, each unit of, let's say, cash, for my exchanges more intensively. Each unit of cash will be moving will be used more intensively, and will be moving more rapidly between transactions. People won't be holding so much in their wallet. Higher velocity. So more automatic teller machines has tended to mean higher velocity. Then here is the big one here, and Mankiw stresses this a lot, and rightly so, is inflation and or interest rates. So the idea is that when you have interest rates, when you have inflation is higher, and that means also higher nominal interest rates, because you've learned that nominal interest rates is equal to the real interest rate, which tends to not vary so much, plus the inflation rate. When that goes up, that means that you're essentially, we think of this as a tax. You are being taxed on the holding of your money balances. Yes, you are holding that money in your wallet so that you can conduct those transactions. It's performing a service for you, but at the same time, you're sort of being taxed for that. You are losing some value. And if you keep that, let's say that $1 in your wallet over, let's say, a year, you will be losing, you'll end up with 98%. You'll only have 98 cents of purchasing power or at the end of the year in comparison to the beginning of the year. Well, you can imagine that when inflation and nominal interest rates rise, that means that you're going to be losing even more of your purchasing power. So guess you're not going to just kind of be passive. You're going to be respond how? By sort of protecting your wealth, by economizing on money balances, which may mean what? Which means that in a higher inflation environment, you may be running to the ATM more, and you may be carrying on average less cash in your wallet. And guess what? That means higher velocity. So higher inflation, higher interest rates, higher velocity. Okay. Finally, there's one more thing that I think we have to mention, and so we think of this as sort of the fear factor or safety. There have been times, and I'm thinking of, for example, back in 2008, 2009, when people began to worry about the stock market, and for some reason they had to take their money out of equities. They have to put them someplace here. And what do? They put them into, this is what I remember the investment advisor saying, well, at a time like this, cash is king. Okay, so if cash is king, if you're moving your wealth out of equities and into money, velocity is falling. So these are two factors. So we're going to be looking at the spreadsheet in just a minute here.